everybody, and thank you for joining ChasingCinema.com's official podcast. I welcome you to the podcast where I and my co-host talk about the world of motion picture. And when I say I mean me, of course, which is Jacob Toronto. And today I'm joined by my loyal, faithful co-host slash best friend,
Louis Corzo.
And today we're going to be talking about some movie news. We're going to be talking about what we've been watching. And then we're going to be closing this podcast by reviewing Mordecai in The Boy Next Door. So if you've never listened to the ChasingCinema.com podcast, this format is usually how we go about things, how we... how we usually go about. If you've been listening recently, a lot of our formats have kind of adapted to the awards. We're talking a lot about awards. So we haven't really had a podcast where we just do our usual thing. But even though I have a feeling in the near future, we're going to be changing our format up again and doing things a bit differently. But for now, for this podcast, I thank you for joining us, and now you get to enjoy us as we talk about the world of motion picture. Feel free to be a part of the conversation by tweeting us at Chasing Cinema, or you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Chasing Cinema, and or email us, of course, at Jake@ChasingCinema.com or Louis@ChasingCinema.com. Either or. Louis, what have you been watching? What's been going on? How are things?
Everything's been great, same old, trying to watch new stuff each day. We're back in school again, so that's always an adventure in itself, and more of the same in this new 2015.
Well, that is good to hear. I know the year started off, but for us, the year doesn't really start until the Oscars end. Is what we kind of go to. Is that's when our 2014 really ends, as we're still trying to catch up on as many films as we can. Are there any that you're particularly trying to watch before the awards, or is there anything you really?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a handful I'm planning to watch, especially this week if I find the time. A theory of everything. I definitely need to see before the big day in February, and Wild. I'm curious about Wild. I want to see that as well. And, other one, of course, is Big Eyes, a few here and there, but mostly A Theory of Everything and Wild.
I really loved Big Eyes. I thought it was Tim Burton's best film in years, but I'm surprised it was. Now, it got a win at the Golden Globes.
Yeah.
So, I think it's a great movie to watch. But I would concentrate on the ones that are going to be they're going to be talked about on February.
Of course. And that's definitely A Theory of Everything and Wild with the 2 nominations.
And, Wild with 2 nominations and Theory of Everything with, I think, more than 2. 3.
Yeah, with Best Picture.
Well, 4.
Actor.
And then Score.
Actress, Score, yeah.
Yeah, so... So what besides that, though, have you been watching anything, any television shows, any movies you've seen recently?
Yeah. Ever since the Golden Globes aired and Transparent took home Best Comedy Series, I was very intrigued. And since I was a recently new Prime member for Amazon, I thought now's the time to watch those 10 episodes. So I binged watched that in about 4 days, and I definitely enjoyed it. I thought it was well made, well done, has a lot of heart, emotion, and it's not really a comedy, which is kind of weird. I know a lot of award shows have done this in the past where they throw something that's not really a hardcore drama, not really a comedy, but they just throw in a comedy, and that's what they did with Transparent this year. So I won't, going into it, don't expect big laughs because it's not a comedy. It's just a very serious look at this one family's transition from having a lot of secrets to sharing all their secrets with one another, finding themselves in this chaos of life. And it's really good. Jeffrey Tambor is amazing in his performance, and Jay Duplass plays his son, who we've been fans of the Duplass brothers and their films and all this, and he's really good in this. I definitely recommend it. It's a really different TV show nowadays, and I guess you can't really call it a TV show because it's not necessarily on television, but it feels different than your average show. It's more like an indie production. Every episode feels like a short film, and it's a great look, great characters. You hate them, but you like them, and it's a good watch.
Yeah, I did not know the Duplass. Well, at least Jay Duplass was a part of it. Do they have anything to do? Well, I didn't know they were in it, but do they have anything to do with it production wise?
No, from what I'm aware, he's just acting in it. The creator, the showrunner is Jill Soloway, and a part of 6 Feet Under, United States of Terror. So she's done a lot in the TV universe before, and now she's running this. I think, was a part of Grey's Anatomy for a little bit, but mostly 6 Feet Under. So she's did amazing work on this once again.
Another thing I've been wanting to talk to you about is, did you by chance, actually two things, did you by chance catch, well, I'm sure you did catch because you catch all of the SNLs, did you watch the Kevin Hart SNL?
I sure did.
And I think that's such a shame because The Wedding Ringer was not that great, but let me tell you, I thought his SNL was really good. I thought it was really good. I thought his opening monologue was funny and, you know, just as good as his stand-up. And then
that's from his new stand. Like, he's on tour now with a new set of jokes, and that's his monologue was a
preview.
piece of that.
Yeah.
Yes,
I did not know that, but you know, and then there was one skit in particular. I really enjoyed the gangster reversal type skit.
Yeah, that was
him
great.
And Kenan Thompson. Yeah, well, you know, it's more in the beginning. When they're sitting, I think.
Oh, the video, the digital short.
Yeah, the digital short. You know, where he's like, who's that? He's like, oh, that's just Maul, his life partner. He said, oh,
yeah.
And, you know, he's going to the mayonnaise store and things like that. I thought that was really funny.
That was great.
And then I really got a kick. I mean, the skit as like a written piece of comedy wasn't that funny, but when he does James Brown, just Kevin Hart's like, you know, how he yells and just his little joke. I don't know. I thought the whole cape thing was pretty funny.
They did capture his energy perfect in that skit.
I thought that was great. And I also watched him on Jimmy Fallon. I watched the Blackjack Slap War.
Yeah, that was fun.
Awesome. Second thing I want to talk about is, how do you feel? I don't know if it started. I'm not always the best at television, but I know it is near, or if not, have already started. You do watch Parks and Recs, right? Religiously.
Yes.
And it is coming to an end, right? This is the last season.
Final season.
And when does is that out, or is that not out yet?
We've had 4 episodes
of the final season.
Yeah. I don't know why NBC is doing this, but Parks and Rec was usually on Thursday, but now they're giving up on Comedy Thursday to compete with Scandal on ABC and stuff like that. So they moved Parks and Rec to Tuesdays, but instead of just airing 1 episode, they do 2 back-to-back new episodes. So in 2 weeks, we had 4 episodes. So it seems like they're rushing this final season, which is kind of sad, but at the same time, it's kind of cool because you get back-to-back episodes of a show that you really like.
And how many seasons has it been in? Not a lot, right?
7th season.
Oh, wow. I honestly didn't think it was that much. I thought it was like 3 or 4.
Yeah, it's been on a while.
Shows you how behind I am.
Yeah.
Well, I could even prove how behind I am because the show I've been watching lately, besides the few movies that I've been going to see, after, you know, usually January is our break period where we get to take a breather from jamming so much down our throat. Even though obviously Louis is still trying to watch a lot, and there are a few that I still really want to see. I had a good friend bring up Nymphomaniac to me again that I really need to see those two. I've heard a lot of people talk really great about those films. I also heard a lot of people not like those movies, but I think that's exactly what you get with Lars von Trier. I want to watch that. I still have to watch Under the Skin with
Scarlett Johansson.
Scarlett Johansson, thank you. I heard was a really great film. West Fisher, I remember the Nevada Film Critics Society put that on his top 10. I believe Josh Bell mentioned it. I'm not sure if it was on his top 10, but I know Josh Bell was a fan, I want to say. So I've heard really great things, and I also want to watch that. 2 movies that I don't think are going to, you know, obviously aren't winning any awards.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a little late for that.
A little late, but, you know, still films I want to see. But now I don't feel like I'm such on a timeline with them. The one major film I need to see that I have, it actually was on DirecTV, so I was able to record it, is the Grand Budapest Hotel. So, and we've talked about Wes Anderson before. And,
I forgot about that.
And, you know, I was lucky enough to catch the first 15 minutes. And then, you know, when I was watching it and I was able to record it and say, okay, you know, because people were in the house and I wasn't really able to concentrate, but I had an easier time getting into the flow than I was the other films. But it's always the beginning where I'm kind of into it and then it just goes somewhere else. So I don't know. I'm nothing against Wes Anderson, but it's hard. It's difficult. But we'll see. Maybe that ends up being my favorite movie of the year, and I wasted all this time not watching it. But back to my original thought. I've gone back in time to watch a movie, or watch a television. Well, actually, show Samantha a television show. One day we were just hanging out. Whatever was on TV was on. And for some reason, I didn't even know this channel existed. It's called the Clue channel, I think, CLOO. And an episode of Monk was on. And as Louis knows, and I'm not sure if I've talked about it much on this podcast, I am a huge fan of. I really love that series. It was one of my favorite television shows ever to exist. Louis actually bought me most of the seasons for Christmas and my birthday.
Yep.
Every year he'd update me. And Samantha surprisingly loved it. And she was cracking up. She had a blast. And I said, oh, my God, like, this is fate. We have to watch these series. So I introduced her. We're already on season 3. Absolutely great. I mean, every episode is strong and funny and sometimes heartbreaking. Like, I really think that's one of the most underrated shows. I mean, I know it did well. I know that Tony Shalhoub was very praised for his performance, but it's not one I hear people talk about a lot. And it's a really, really great show with a tremendous amount of heart. If you've never seen it, I really, really recommend it. I'm not sure if it's on Netflix or Amazon to stream. Again, I don't got to worry about that. I own all 8 seasons. But absolutely tremendous. If you ever just stop by an episode, just check it out. It's best to start from the beginning because you got to kind of see him improve himself and kind of really come along. And there's a whole, you don't have to, it's a, what do we call it? Like Law and Order. What's the word?
Periodical.
Yeah, periodical. But there's
procedural.
Procedural, thank you. That's funny because I had those 2 words mixed up the other day too. I think that's why I asked you. But it's one of those things where he's solving all these cases in each episode, but there's one major case that the whole series is about, and heartbreaking at times, funny, absolutely hilarious at times. So I recommend giving that a watch. What else?
And if not for the show itself, just for the theme song, so you could hear that every day.
Oh my God! Yeah, absolutely great theme song. Samantha fell in love with it. It's in my head. It's been in my head. It's great stuff. I really, really recommend it. The theme song was by Randy Newman. And it's awesome.
How can you go wrong?
It's one of those theme songs where I just wish it was longer.
Yeah.
I have that same feeling with the Roseanne theme song. I know. I think seasons 1 through 8 of Roseanne never had lyrics, but the final season did. And I think it's Blues Travelers who did that song. They did Hook, that Emma Stone sang, and Jimmy Fallon. Same band with the harmonica and speaking really, really fast. They did the theme song, and it's good, but it's only like 90. It's not even 90 seconds. I'm just like, man, I wish this was longer. I feel the same way about the Monk theme song. So we've been watching that. What else have we been doing? Honestly, we've been kind of getting through that. Oh, so this is kind of embarrassing, but I don't know how long ago I was talking about Avatar and talking about how much I was enjoying that show. Well, there was a period of time where I had like 5 episodes left and I just never got around to them. And I just finished the show last week and I absolutely loved it. I'm really upset at myself that I let it kind of drag out so long because there is a new show that is it's basically a spin-off of Avatar in a sense where after an avatar dies, another avatar becomes, and this is long after Aang, so that's not a spoiler for the show. And it's called The Legend of Korra. Louis, I don't know if you've heard much about this show.
Not at all.
Well, it was on Nickelodeon, just like the Avatar. And they took it off. They took it off the television. They said, you know what, you just got to stream it on Nick.com. I think a lot of episodes are still available on Nick.com. Samantha watched it while I was watching Avatar, so she was already caught up. But it got a lot of controversy because the show recently ended. Spoiler alert, for anyone who's watching Legend of Korra or plans to and is lucky enough not to have heard anything, I really recommend you turn this off or you fast forward it. Spoiler alert. But they've got a lot of controversy because, Samantha didn't tell me. She didn't ruin this for me, but, it was talked about a lot, actually, on one of my favorite podcasts, too. That the 2 main characters in Legend of Korra are lesbian. That there's the same sexual relationship going on at the end of the show. And it doesn't hint to it, but it insinuates this relationship. And Nickelodeon, all the writers came out and said, yeah, that's what happened. And, that was really controversial, but great. I think that's awesome. And, I'm really excited to see it. I heard it is better than Avatar, which even excites me more. There are 2 or 3 graphic novels in between that I have to read in order to start Legend of Korra. You don't have to, but I like to do that. So I'll do that. And that's what I've been watching. But if you've not seen Avatar, it's on Amazon Prime. Check it out. Honestly, I don't care if you're into cartoons or not. I don't care if you think anime's weird or you can't get into it. Give it a watch, because after the first few episodes, it's kind of kiddish, but then it kind of gets pretty interesting and really fun. And it's only 3 seasons. It should never take you as long as it took me. But I would definitely recommend checking it out. That's when you could say something, so I don't have to take a long breath.
I don't know. I have no clue. This is out of my field of focus.
I'm going to get you to watch it.
No.
Come on. Watch watch the 1 season.
I can't promise you anytime soon, because I'm looking at my planner and it's a little packed.
I don't blame you, because I still have your True Detective.
Yeah. Thank you for reminding me, because I gave this to you since it came out like last May.
June. Yeah, May or June.
And then I finally watched it, and then I gave it to you right away. So soon enough, it's going to be a year. You've been carrying that around.
My goal is not to make it a year. My goal is not to make it a year. Well, now that Avatar's done and we're watching Monk, which isn't something that I have to watch constantly, consecutively, I might be able to get that in.
Well, it is only 8 episodes. It's not like it's
How long are they each?
It's like 40 to 50 minutes.
Okay, because we were like, hey, well, not right now, but maybe 6 months ago, a few months ago, we were like, hey, maybe we should watch Sherlock. Everyone is talking about how great Benedict Cumberbatch is. I turned on things like hour 45 minutes per episode. I said, Jesus, that's a whole movie. And
BBC.
To me, that was a turnoff. I was like, I can't do all that. I can't watch a movie per episode and think about that like that.
How many episodes do you remember per season?
I think there's only 2 seasons on Netflix right now. 2 or 3 maybe. I'm not sure. I know it's not a lot, but still, man, you got an hour and 45, hour and a half.
That's a movie.
Yeah, it is. And to me, I could get away with the show, because I'm like, I could watch a show real quick, But if I could be I could be watching a movie instead, it makes me feel really guilty. So, even 50 minutes, I'm like, it's not a movie. But when you get to that hour and 20 minutes range, I'm like, oh no.
Yeah. I could be watching a Woody Allen film right now.
Even though the pilot of Monk is an hour and a half.
But that's okay.
Pilots are different, though.
On special occasions, they have the right to do an extended episode. By all means, go for it. But if you're talking about every single episode, 140, 145, that's wow, just make a,
Yeah.
I don't know, do something else.
Make a miniseries.
Yeah.
Well, technically, it's longer than a miniseries, though, because it's really 2 seasons.
A miniseries is an hour an episode, even.
Anyway, moving on. Louis, what's going on in the world of movie news and the world of movie talks? I know we're going to be talking about some of, I think the Producers Guild was the other night.
Yes. Well, movie news have been pretty low-key, because right now they're focusing on blockbuster films, like the superhero films we discussed countless of times before, so I won't bore you guys with this type of news. But other than that, they've been focusing on awards and Sundance, because Sundance is going on right now. But the biggest news of this past week was at the Producers Guild Awards, and everyone has been assuming that it's Boyhood's race this year. It's the clear-cut front runner, and rightfully so. We both agree with that argument. But last night at the PGA, there was a little bit of surprise. Birdman went on to take the best picture of the year, according by the PGA, which is big, because the last 7 years, the winner of the PGA award went on to win the best picture award. I think it says you have to go back to all the way to 2006, when the PGA gave the award to Little Miss Sunshine, which didn't win Best Picture. That was the last time they got it wrong. So this is big news, giving this big of a push to Birdman, which we knew, for acting-wise, it had big support from the acting branch, and cinematography, obviously, a lot of support there. But for the producers to back this, it's pretty big. And now, we might have a two-headed race.
I think that, Birdman has always kind of been that movie that's kind of like lurking there in the dark, and it is kind of like, oh, maybe this movie might have a chance, maybe this movie pulls through. I think it was kind of like maybe the Hurt Locker of that year when everyone was just like, maybe, but, Avatar came out this year,
Yeah.
But even though Avatar is not like Boyhood where, everyone necessarily praised Avatar like they do Boyhood. But, that's a definite possibility. I don't necessarily think that it's what I would be happy with necessarily just because Birdman didn't, I thought Birdman was good. I'm not trying to knock the movie, but I didn't click to it. I didn't have a really big connection to it like so many other people did. And, but I think I'd be pretty disappointed if Birdman took it. I don't know. How do you feel? How would you feel if Birdman won over Boyhood and Selma and Theory of Everything and Foxcatcher? Or not Fox. Oh, no, Foxcatcher. And
American
Sniper, Whiplash. Is that all 8? Did I name all 8?
Did the Theory of Everything get Best Picture nom?
I'm pretty sure, didn't it? Yeah. Birdman, Boyhood, Whiplash,
Selma, American
Foxcatcher,
Sniper.
American Sniper. I got 2 more.
Theory of Everything.
And something else. One that I know I always forget. It.
Oh, Wes Anderson.
Yeah, Grand Budapest Hotel. See? And I don't mean to.
How appropriate for that.
It is appropriate.
It's kind of funny because I kind of have the same feelings you have, but reversed. Everyone loved Boyhood. I didn't necessarily connect with that one. Per se, I did enjoy Birdman more than I did Boyhood.
Oh my goodness!
And I think we need to save this discussion for like a different podcast where we could just focus on those 2 films and just go crazy and talk about it. But yeah, like I wouldn't be necessarily upset with Birdman taking it over Boyhood. But this movie year has been strange for me, even though we have a lot of great films. Don't get me wrong, there's been a lot of great film. There has been one film that really, really jumped out for me. None of them really made this big, profound connection. Like 2 years ago with Silver Linings Playbook. I adored that film. I love that film. That was easily my number 1. This year, I don't have an easy number 1. At any day, I could change it. So it's, it's kind of strange.
Really quick, I have to correct myself. Foxcatcher was not nominated for Best Picture. I knew that was wrong. It was actually The Imitation Game.
Okay, of course.
Which is a bit surprising. But yeah, I remember Foxcatcher, Steve Carell was nominated for it. Mm-hmm. But I just wrote an article about this too, the fact that Bennett Miller
got in,
but the movie wasn't nominated for Best Picture.
Which is ridiculous because you have 2 spots left. And don't tell me Foxcatcher does not deserve a nomination.
Absolutely. I'm with you.
It's just like, come on. Okay, if you're going to go 8, go 10, go all the way. You have Mark Ruffalo, you have Bennett Miller, you have Steve Carell getting recognitions in their field for that movie. Why not just, okay, let's tack it on. Even if it's a long shot for them to win, let's just tack it on. That really grinds my gears. As I don't know why I did a Family Guy reference there, but
I think it's appropriate.
There you have.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think the same way. I think 10 films should be nominated, not if there needs to be. Just put 10 in there. I mean, I know that as critics, it's kind of be like, well, they all don't deserve to be in there, but that's not how I feel. I'd rather all these films get that great recognition and that great privilege rather than be, like, oh, well, you don't make the cut, so I'm not even going to make 10 nominees.
It's even worse than that because it's not like they have 10 films. They're saying, yeah, we could do 10 films, but we don't think you're worth it.
Yeah, so
that's even worse. Like, I'd rather have even 2 long, put in Under the Skin and put in whatever, put in, I don't know, I Frankenstein. Something.
I Frankenstein.
At least you have 10. I know. At least you have 10. At least you could say, sorry guys, you didn't make the cut. We were close, but now, but don't have 10 slots and only fill 8 of them. I just don't like that. And the whole purpose of expanding it to 10 was to get more films and get even blockbuster films like, Interstellar, but they didn't even do that. So what's the point?
Yeah, I don't know. I agree with you. I think there should be like all 10 films should be nominated. You know, I don't understand that thing of just being like these movies are really good for all these awards, but doesn't make our cut for Best Picture. Sorry, we have 2 more spots empty, but we're just not going to give it to any of you.
Like, I know, it's like a spit in the face.
What? Theory of Everything. All right, Foxcatcher could have been on that list, and whoever wants to argue what else could have fit in that list, I'm sure there's plenty.
Nightcrawler.
Yeah, absolutely, but let's not get into
awkward.
You know. And there's been plenty of snubs. I just wrote an article about all these. If you want to read it, it's at UNLVRebelYell.com, where I talk about the 4 biggest snubs. It was going to be the 15 biggest surprises and snubs of the awards. And then I wrote so much about these snubs, I was like, I got to just write about these snubs. So now it's the biggest 4 snubs of the Academy Awards. And we talked about last week briefly. But if you want to read that full article, again, that's UNLVRebelYell.com. You can find that on Chasing Cinema. I do not post it on our main page. You have to go to Jake's Journal to read my stuff that I write for other publications. Because the 4 major snubs are easily Lego Movie not getting nominated, which I can't even I can't even understand it.
And then before you go on, speaking of Lego Movie, they did win Best Animation Film at the PGA last night. So,
and that's what I mean. Like, and again,
consolation.
I'm not saying it needed to win. Like, I'm the first guy to tell you I want How to Train Your Dragon to win. I love that movie. I love Lego Movie too, and I love The Book of Life. But to not even nominate the Lego Movie is like. What?
It's disgusting.
Yeah. Because Box Trolls was nominated, I think, and I absolutely hated that movie. I thought that movie wasn't great. It looked beautiful. You know, I'm all for stop motion if it's done right, and it was. But the story was terrible. But, you know, I digress. What else did I talk about? You know, there's 2 more major ones. I don't know. Go read it.
Selma.
Well, obviously, that was my last one. I wasn't going to spoil that, but that's fine. Ava DuVernay not Ava DuVernay not being nominated for Best Director drives me insane. And I don't know about you. I don't know if you are someone who reads a lot of news on the Oscars or talks about it. A lot of people have made a lot of decent not decent, but have made a lot of valid arguments about how the Oscars really lack in diversity. I mean, it's nuts. To kind of really put it into perspective, let's see. How many women have been nominated? Women have been nominated Oscar-wise for Best Director. Louis, do you know the number?
Off the top of my head, I can't say that I do, but I would say, you know, Catherine Bigelow obviously won with Hurt Locker, so she's been nominated. She's the only winner.
Yeah, she's
in that regard.
Only one out of the 89 Best Director awards that I believe they released. I know there's not 89 Academy Awards. I think there was, this is going to be our 87th. But I know that there's been times where they've given more than one director award out. So there might be co-directors or whatever. But in total, there have only been 4 women nominated for that award. 4. And one has only won. Now, to talk about more diversity, do you know how many African Americans have been nominated for Best Director?
It doesn't have to be female, because Ava would have been the first one.
She would have been the first female African American female. So there's no female African Americans, but there's only been 3 African Americans nominated for Best Director, and none have won. And one was last year for Steve McQueen.
Yeah.
And
he did take home Best Picture, but at least.
Yeah. But there's also only been one Latin American to win Best Director. Now, I think there's been 4 or 5 nominations, but it was in 2013. Alfonso Cuarón for Gravity.
Yeah. Well, this year we got Alejandro Inarritu.
Yeah, he would be the second. I think there's 5 or 6 Latin men have been nominated, but I mean, those numbers are too damn small. I don't know if anyone else thinks that. And I'm not saying that's a problem, as I brought up this argument a lot, and I'm not saying those are the reasons why she should have been nominated. She did a remarkable job especially when you're telling a story where people know the outcome. She made Selma feel so suspenseful,
emotional.
Yeah, so tense, so suspenseful. You were just wondering, and you know what? She really put you in a perspective of being abused and feeling violated, and the stringing together these events, and then also, making a parallel to to Ferguson and what's going on now. She deserves to be nominated because she's a great director. Roger Ebert predicted this a long time ago. If you've seen the documentary Life Itself, he said she was going to be a great filmmaker when he met her when she was a little girl. She sent him a DVD version of her first or second film, and he absolutely loved it. And he says, "I can't wait to see your future projects." It's a damn shame he's not here to see this, because I'm sure he'd be the number one backer for this movie. But this movie deserved it. But there's a huge lack of gravity. Obviously, Life Itself being not nominated was also on my list. I really disappointed that movie didn't get nominated for Best Documentary.
And funny you should say that, it won an award for the Best Documentary Feature at the PGA.
That's crazy. I should have watched.
So,
and then, like Louis said, I totally spaced it, but like Louis said, I think our if not the second biggest compared to Ava DuVernay being snubbed is Nightcrawler and Jake Gyllenhaal being snubbed. That's even harder to kind of comprehend, because especially when you have two spots open.
I know. They could toss them a bone.
But, again, I'm also not someone who's like, oh, the Academy Awards are stupid. I also really, really respect the Academy. I respect the awards, but it is very frustrating every year. That's the thing, is no matter what they do, you can't help but leave out so-and-so.
Yeah.
And I understand
tough.
that. It is tough. But I'm just saying, you don't make it any better for you when you could put two more movies and save those people that grief. But, I mean,
I'm waiting for the time when they open up the Academy to like American Idol type voting. And then the people decide.
Way off subject. Did you hear they want to do Tough Enough American Idol style?
Yeah.
That's a side subject.
That makes sense. I can see that one.
I always thought that was what it should be.
Because in the end, it's the fans who make them, so.
Moving on. Louis, is that going to be all with the PGA, or is there anything else?
Oh, yeah, that's plenty. That's plenty. That's enough.
So then we're going to conclude this podcast with myself reviewing two films, Mortdecai and The Boy Next Door. Louis is going to play questionnaire as I review both films. Louis, which one should we talk about first?
We got to go with our boy, Johnny Depp. We got to knock that out first. Mortdecai.
Okay, if that's what you want to do, that's fine with me. So Mortdecai was a film that I honestly didn't think I was going to be able to see. I honestly thought for a minute that I wasn't going to make it, but I ended up going to see a midnight premiere for this movie, which, not a midnight premiere, but a midnight showing. My girlfriend, she's a big Johnny Depp fan. I'm sure I've talked about it many times.
Yeah, that's right. I actually forgot about that. That makes sense why you went, because you wouldn't have gone by yourself.
I mean,
you're anti-Johnny Depp at this point, it seems like, besides Tusk. Minus Tusk, you hate Johnny Depp.
Well,
just say it. Just say it.
Well, thank you.
You despise that man.
Thank you for stealing my opening monologue. I have had a lot of now. That's what Louis says, but I'm gonna put it in my perspective now. I have not been a Johnny Depp fan for a very long time, and I don't know how many times I've said it. I think I've gone through this conversation at least 100 times because it's one that people keep asking me about. Yeah, but Johnny Depp does not do it for me anymore because he's gotten very content in doing the same thing, in my opinion. I don't think he really challenges himself as an actor. He challenges the craft as much as he used to. And again, I'm not saying Johnny Depp's a bad guy because he wants to do movies that he thinks are great. That's not what I'm saying. My job as a critic, though, is to judge a person on their craft. And Johnny Depp, love him or hate him or think he's attractive or not, has not really improved in that craft. And I don't know if Lou agrees with me, but I don't know if the world agrees with me, but I honestly feel that way. After the 90s especially, he just kind of started playing the weird Tim Burton roles, and he got really typecast in that. And I had a problem with both Tim Burton and Johnny Depp. Tim Burton, however, redeemed himself this year with Big Eyes because I felt that he went back to his roots. And you can read my review for that on chasingcinema.com/Big Eyes. And Johnny Depp kind of redeemed himself last year because he really did. I can bet my heart on it. probably made his lowest sorry, his lowest grossing film of all time. He must. There's no way that he made a film that made less than Tusk. I'm not trying to make fun of Tusk because I absolutely love that movie. But I mean, Johnny Depp must be looking at that thing like, oh, big, 20 million, not 20 million, but 100 million. What the hell is that? Oh, that's Tusk. It's just it's something that's completely and
funny. We got to find out the numbers because this weekend Mordecai opened up to 4.1 million.
Ooh,
a big flop. It was budgeted at 60 million. It only made $4.1 million this weekend. So that has to be a career low for him too.
Thing is, you could even, Kevin Smith has been on record for saying this, and it's proven. Basically, Kevin Smith does his numbers on DVD and Blu-ray. Like that's where people spend money for Kevin Smith. They don't necessarily go out of their ways to theaters because most theaters actually don't even really show his stuff. But he doesn't. I mean, I think Zack and Miri only made like $2.2 million on opening weekend. The total gross for Tusk, total domestic gross, which released on September 19th, to this moment right now, Box Office Mojo is $1,826,705. So $1.8 million. So technically, Mordecai made 4 times that. But
more theaters, I'm assuming, for Mordecai.
Oh yeah, which you take effect. But I mean, I would love to see the differences between DVD. The purchase of DVD opposed to Mordecai DVD. Anyway, I thought he was so great in Tusk because he went to a really goofy, he went to as odd as the roles that he does, though I don't think they're that odd anymore because he does them so often. He went to a really odd place for Tusk. He plays a detective. His name's Lapointe, I believe. And in this movie, he plays this Canadian detective who, is just absolutely hilarious. Or he's French. I don't know. He's in Canada. I'm pretty sure he's Canadian. But Guy Lapointe, I believe his name is. And it's absolutely hilarious and just cheesy. And, he's just out there. And for those who don't know, he's going to be reoccurring this role in a film called Yoga Hosers, which is the sequel, not to Tusk necessarily. Tusk is a part of a trilogy, though, called the North Trilogy, which means North as in i.e. Canada, our great sister nation, I believe it's called, or maybe not, but, And Yoga Hosers stars Johnny Depp and his daughter, and Kevin Smith and his daughter. So if you have seen Tusk, the 2 girls at the convenience store that Mr. Lee encounters are Kevin Smith and Johnny Depp's daughters, and those 2 are going to be the stars of the film Yoga Hosers, which should be coming out this year and next year. And then he's concluding the trilogy with the one I'm most excited for, a movie called Moose Jaws, which is exactly what you heard, Moose Jaws. It is a Jaws version with a moose. So Kevin Smith has gone down a very fun, I just want to do what I want type weird path, and I'm all about it. I do think Tusk, I think these films tend to be a little bit longer than they should be, more like skits or shorts, but I really enjoyed Tusk, and I really enjoyed Johnny Depp in them. What were you going to say, Lee?
According to IMDb, Yoga Hosers comes out 2015, and it's already in post-production.
Good. So I'm excited for that. So I'm like, you know what, Johnny Depp, man, it's awesome. He went and did this movie where he wasn't going to make a lot of money. He wasn't all about the paycheck. I'm cool with that. That's awesome. Then comes Mordecai, the film that is based off the series. I believe the book is called "Don't Point That Thing at Me." I believe it is a collection, like a series of comedy thriller novels. He's by an English author, and it follows this art dealer, like this aristocratic art dealer. He's not that good. He's not that bad. But the movie stars Johnny Depp and Gwyneth Paltrow. In the first opening 5 minutes of Mordecai, I was in. And I was shocked that I was in because I don't know if you've seen the trailer. The trailer does not look good. The movie doesn't look good. I'm just being honest. I try to go in as unbiased as I possibly can, but there are some movies where you're just like, oof. But I was in. I was like, I'm all about this because, and I mean, throughout the whole movie, well, let me finish my review. But I'm in. It's funny. It's working. It's odd. It's offbeat. And then the remaining hour and 40 minutes are dreadful. I mean, absolutely just harsh to get through. And it's not that I hated this movie. It's just I felt so bored. I didn't hate it. I wasn't mad. But it was one of those movies where I was looking around the theater, looking at my watch, and just hoping that someone would pull a fire alarm. I wanted an excuse to get out because I won't ever voluntarily leave a movie early. I've never walked out on a movie, at least after 6th grade. I think I've walked out of one film, and it wasn't by choice. I was with a big group of kids, and the kid called his mom she called her mom and said, I want you to come pick us up. I hate this movie. And that was The Jacket with Adrian Brody. Do you remember that? When they locked
the movie's great.
Have you seen that? I don't think I've ever finished it, now that I think about it.
Weird.
Anyway, but I was doing anything but, like, I was looking for an excuse to get out of that theater. I was drinking my soda as quick as possible, so I would have to excuse myself to go to the restroom. And it's not that, like, it wasn't, I mean...
So flooded.
What?
Get off his seat. And then knowing Jake, if you don't know Jake, I don't want to call Jake lazy. He's not lazy. But you don't like to do a lot of extra walking if you don't have to. So this man wants to get up multiple times to go to the bathroom just to avoid this movie. That's how you know it's a bad movie. Wow. That's the first thing I ever heard in my life from you. Wow. I can't believe it.
And the thing is, here's what really gets me. Louis will tell you, I'm an avid fan of Blake Edwards' series, The Pink Panther, with Peter Sellers' Inspector Clouseau. And that's the feeling I got from the movie. And that first 5 minutes, I felt a replica version of it, though he's not a detective. You know, I mean, it's that same type of slapstick. I mean, he has a sidekick that always defends him, he's always getting beat up, and he's always actually hurting his sidekick. That same kind of feeling. And I was like, oh my God.
Even the trailers.
Even the trailers what?
No, give that impression off. It does feel like a
very, but it just loses itself.
Film.
It loses itself and it goes into this really lowbrow just unnecessary humor type stuff, and then it just gets repetitive, and the movie's just like ridiculously about nothing, and I mean, just really just kind of lost me. And it was just a movie that I felt, you know, our friend Kent hated it, and Kent doesn't hate much, you know. I think though, I didn't walk out saying, "Oh my, I hated them." I didn't even feel that strongly about it. I felt so. I mean, obviously, I'm explaining how bored I was, but it wasn't a movie that even got a rise out of me. I was just like, the movie was just bad. I mean, it really just, it was. I thought it was uncreative. I just felt, I don't want to say it was lazy because the movie did have a lot of cool elements to it, but it just felt like the writers were trying to be really creative and then just went to like slapstick stuff and not slapstick, but lowbrow, uncreative stuff. You know, stuff they would use in 21 and Over and Hangover and put it in this movie where it's just, I thought it could have been a lot better. The only thing I could say that I even slightly enjoyed was the relationship between Johnny Depp and Mordecai and his bodyguard Jock, who is like him and Kato. Like they're just like Kato and Inspector Clouseau, is that he's always breaking him out of situations. And you know, I waited for the scene where they were going to do a test fight, like Kato and Inspector Clouseau does, where Kato sneaks up on him and they have like a big old play fight, and that didn't happen. But I think, you know, a lot of the issues with this movie just kind of boil down to the fact that the movie wanted to be... Well, you could tell by the title. It's playing with a lot of sexual stuff. It's going to be kind of a dirty comedy. But it just didn't feel original. It didn't feel interesting. There was nothing, any characters I was really invested in. I felt like I was watching a bunch of actors play dress up and say, oh, what about that one movie? It just wasn't funny. It did not work. It's just one of those movies that did not work. And, that's the thing that was like, that's how I feel. And it was really hard to even do a video review because we didn't review this film on ChasingCinema.com because I saw it so late. But there is a video review on YouTube.com/ChasingCinema. And it's on our Facebook page, Facebook.com/ChasingCinema. I just had a problem even explaining it just because I felt so about it. But I digress. So that was Mortdecai. My first half. If I was to review it, actually, it would be my first 0.5 star review in a very long time. So I do not recommend Mortdecai in the least.
Sounds like a great film.
You should watch it and you tell me if you feel the same.
I was Jeff Goldblum.
He was there. I'm not. I mean, I like Jeff Goldblum, but I've never hopped on this huge it's Jeff Goldblum bandwagon. People are
because he's such a. Watch a couple of interviews with him, and then you will.
Oh no, I think he's cool. But
he's great. I think that's where the fascination comes in.
I don't think if you brought in Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, they could save this movie. Even though that'd be really great. Halfway through, some of the art dealers are Al Pacino and Robert De Niro.
Jack Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson, Christopher Walken. I think the movie would have gone to a much more interesting place at that moment. But I might be in the bathroom at that point. Who knows?
You might have been.
Moving on. On the opposite side of this, we have The Boy Next Door, starring Ryan Guzman, or Guzman, I'm not sure yet. And
when will you be sure? That's the question.
Honestly. Probably not until he makes another movie. I see him on a talk show.
Okay.
Because that's, you know what, guys, and I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to take off the Chasing Cinema hat right now. Talk to you guy to guy. Talk to you person to person.
Okay.
Nobody knows. Everyone acts like they know. But I mean, I've heard so many people go their whole career by one name and then be like, that's not even how you say my name. I believe Buscemi is honestly correct. People saying my name is Buscemi, but still,
no, he does not.
I swear to God, he said that.
Yeah,
I believe so. I might be wrong, but I'm not.
You might be.
I swear to God, I'll find
this is the same person that calls Don Cheadle. And no way, that's right. It's Don Cheadle. You can call him Cheadley.
No, but
I don't know what's wrong.
And what is it? And Brendan Fraser, this poor guy, is like, my name's not Fraser, it's Fraser. Oh, no, I don't remember how he pronounces it. No, he's actually literally said this. It's not Fraser. It's I don't remember. It was in something. I'll have to send it to you. But his name's not pronounced that way either. But so many names are pronounced, and people just kind of go with the flow, whatever clicks. But I've heard Ava DuVernay. I think it's Duvernay. I've heard a lot of people say Duvernay. I have a lot of people say pronounced way different way. Who am I to say that? And unless I hear their name, and no matter who they are, David Oyelowo, someone who he's pronounced his name on Jimmy Fallon, and no one says it correctly, but Oprah dubbed it Oyelowo, so he just says stick with it because that's what Oprah called him. His name is actually, I believe, Nigerian descent, and it's a very pronounced. What's the word I'm looking for, Louis? Enunciated word, but he just says, "Call me Oyelowo." I think it's just whatever works. So if I don't even know why I'm talking about this right now. So if Ryan Guzman has a problem, me calling him Guzman or he's Guzman. I mean, let him correct it. But I believe it's Buscemi. So just remember that.
Okay. So go on to Jennifer Lopez.
Jennifer Lopez. Jennifer Lopez. I mean, she was great in Selena way back when, but other than that, enough. I liked enough.
So what? Yeah, enough. I was going to ask you, what is your favorite Jennifer Lopez movie?
Easily Selena. Selena's a great movie and probably her best performance. Have you ever seen Selena?
No, that's the one that I've never seen.
But you know of it. It's about, the famous
of course.
Latin singer, and she's great in that movie. Though the movie is somewhat cheesy. If you go back and watch it, oh, well, that's kind of cheesy. But she was great in that, After that,
so,
go on.
No, because I'm thinking, okay, Made in Manhattan, you know, she did the backup plan. She
Made
did
in
the one with her
Manhattan,
ex-husband.
The Backup Plan.
Cantante. We both liked Enough. I thought that was pretty fun.
I think Enough was fun, and I own that movie because like my mom loves it, and I think it's a fun time. But like, there's never been any. Oh, I honestly.
Come on, say it. I was waiting for you to say this.
I'm admittedly a fan of Monster in Law.
Yes.
I like that movie.
That wasn't bad.
It wasn't,
I enjoyed it too.
Honestly, out of everything I've seen, that was not that bad. She was in Jack, which I like, but not because of her. She plays the teacher in that. She was also in Money Train, again, something that was good, not because of necessarily her though. I've heard a lot of people like The Wedding Planner, or no, The Made in Manhattan. Everyone likes Made in Manhattan. I don't know if I've ever seen that film all the way through. She was great in Jersey Girl for the short period of time she's in Jersey Girl. But again, like, these are movies. Geely. It's Geely,
Get out of here.
No one hates Geely. No, I really do think she's good in Jersey Girl. Like, I really think Jersey Girl's a good movie, and people who don't like it, I just think are just didn't really feel that movie like I did. I think Jersey Girl's really nice, but I digress. All these things, it's just like, I like movies that she just so happens to be in. And I'm never like, wow, I love that movie because J-Lo. Enough. Yeah, besides Enough and Selena, and Enough isn't that great of a movie either. Because if you go back and watch it, that movie's just as ridiculous. But every time it's on, I'm like, ooh, Enough. So, but whatever. J-Lo comes back. She's in this movie that looks, we've had this story, the Fatal Attraction story, for years now. A lot of people say, oh, Fatal Attraction. And though Fatal Attraction is a great example and probably the most famous instance, there's been movies way before Fatal Attraction that had this plot line, i.e. Clint Eastwood's directorial debut, Play Misty for Me, when he's a disc jockey and the lady calls him every night and says, play Misty for me. And she falls in love with him, then tries to kill him. But Fatal Attraction really kind of...
That's a natural progression.
Natural progression. Have you ever seen Play Misty for Me?
No, actually, I've been wanting to see it for a while now. Oh,
that's great. You got to watch that. But Fatal Attraction kind of really, obviously coined the term of that genre. But I mean, there's been a bunch. I mean, there's Swim Fan.
That was great.
I don't know why that was the first one that came to mind. There was Obsessed a few years ago with what's her name? Anna Later. Is it Anna or? Later, Beyonce and
Beyonce in it?
Idris Elba, but she wasn't the crazy one. Beyonce is the wife.
Okay,
but what was
Crazy in Love?
Is it Anna Later? No, it's something later. And so I mean, this story is not something foreign to us, but it's nice because they kind of changing it up a little bit. Because most of these stories, we have a female obsession, and not that we've never had Ali Larder, I'm sorry, played in Obsessed. It's not that we've never had a male play this role. It's just not as common, especially when it's a younger male in that sense. We had Fear, which Mark Wahlberg obviously was creeping on Reese Witherspoon. And I'm sure there's other ones that I'm just not thinking of right now. But this movie kind of changed it up and has this young boy next door kind of turn into this monster. Now, if you've seen the trailer for The Boy Next Door, you've already successfully seen the movie. Because we've known this format so much. I digress. Louis, you've not seen The Boy Next Door, right?
No, I have not.
Tell me what happens in The Boy Next Door.
Oh, no. Oh, no. So... one can assume that there's a forbidden love between J-Lo and Guzman.
Yes.
They have one night of regret. Jenny is a well-respected woman in her field.
Yes.
And is a loving mother.
Which is respecting field, which is a teacher.
The mom, okay, and wants to move for one night of regret. But the boy is madly in love with her cookies and cannot move on. So it escalates from there. He's going to ruin her life, eventually try to kill her, because if he can't have her, no one can.
Okay, and how would he try to ruin her life?
exposing her secrets.
And okay, and spoiler alert for anyone who does not see the movie, I'm going to guess that Louis is going to be able to figure out. And how does it end, Louis?
Well, good always prevails. I would hope J-Lo finds a way to...
Yeah, but like, how's it going to conclude first?
Take care of and get rid of Guzman.
So,
like, in her house?
Well, no, not in her house, but eventually he's going to try to kill her. They're going to get in a situation, and she's going to make the decision to kill him off, which Louis was basically right on. So, see, Louis hasn't seen the movie, but he's able to clearly pinpoint pretty much the major plot points of that movie. Again, Louis is pretty much right the entire time. The only thing Louis forgot was the sassy best friend and the and as quoted okay, look. I don't mind telling people to go read someone else's work when I know it's good. I've always been a fan, myself being a critic, as a fan of Josh Bell. His review of The Boy Next Door is one of the funniest things I've ever read. It is genius. He doesn't tell you any of the characters' names. He just classifies them as the incredibly, the hot, sassy best friend, the distant husband. I mean, it's great. So pretty much, the movie is really predictable. And I know I've gotten, people ask me, well, isn't every movie predictable now at this point? We've seen everything. I don't say predictable in the sense that, I knew it was going to happen, so it was bad. If I'm 10 steps ahead of the movie, though, and I'm like, well, then this isn't happening, this is going to happen, then I'm not interested in the moment. I'm not paying attention to what's going on in that moment. Like, I'm not feeling it. So I'm just going ahead and finishing the movie off in my head because I have nothing else to do while I'm sitting here in these really unnecessary scenes that look really cheap. So I don't mean it's predictable as I could figure it out, because there are great genius movies that, you could even kind of figure out before the movie ends, but you're in the moment. This movie honestly was just like a Lifetime movie. Like, I've seen Lifetime movies to the same credit. If you take J-Lo out of this equation, movie's on Lifetime Movie Network. It is. And speaking of Lifetime Movie Network, though, David Schmoller, someone we had on our podcast in his film Two Little Monsters. Well, it was Little Monsters. Then they changed the title to Two Little Monsters. Will be debuted. After you hear this, it'll be yesterday, Sunday, on Lifetime Movie Network. Hopefully they play it again. It had its world television premiere. Congratulations to them. Go back out and check out that podcast, and we could talk about that. So, yeah, but back to the point is, I just felt this movie was really cheap. It wasn't really it didn't really have an aspiration as far as being an actual film, opposed to just being a TV movie aspiration. Just let's get it done quick and knock it out. Though this film has been started getting shot in 2013. Yeah, it's whatever. I mean, it's a real whatever movie. I didn't hate it. I wasn't like, this is god awful. But it's a Lifetime movie. It's really it's just lazy and cheap. And it's whatever. I wouldn't say it was. I would say it wasn't as bored, or it wasn't as terrible as Mortdecai, because Mortdecai was like ripping out my eyelids. No, that's a bit hard. But I was biting my nails. The only
wanted to go to the bathroom.
The only time I ever bite my nails is when I'm really, really bored. But I watched The Boy Next Door one way through, and I was like, okay, whatever. I knew I was going to get that when I walked in. But it wasn't terrible. I was able to get through it and at least be like, all right, whatever. But it wasn't harmfully bad. Again, I didn't hate either movie. I thought Mortdecai was awful, but it didn't get enough of a emotional rise out of me to be upset. But Boy Next Door was pretty bad. But again, I didn't hate it. Nothing I was like, oh my God. Nothing for, not like Playing for Keeps, a movie that I really despise. Nothing like that. But overall, a very weak week. That's WEAKWEEK. And
you can spell.
The people. I wonder how many people have turned us off after our conversation about.
I think they're long gone right now. I think it's just
but it's a very paced week, opposed to the great movies we've been watching lately. And I don't really recommend. I mean, there's going to be other stuff coming out though. Next week we have A Most Violent Year, which a lot of people have praised and really loved. Will be coming out in Vegas. We have Project Almanac, which I'm not necessarily thinking it's going to be, thinking against it, but I'm actually somewhat excited to see it. I think it could be really cool. Kind of reminds me of the Butterfly Effect a little bit. But I'm interested to see how that movie works out. And I think there's something else that I'm forgetting. But that's usual. So join us back next week as Louie and I talk about what are we talking about?
Those films.
Yeah, those films.
You just named.
Those two, whatever they were. Most Violent Year and Project Almanac. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to Chasing Cinema's podcast. Make sure to hit subscribe so each week this is automatically downloaded to your podcast. To your iTunes without you even having to do anything. Make sure to like us on Facebook, facebook.com/chasingcinema. Subscribe to our YouTube where you could read my review for Mordecai on youtube.com/chasingcinema. And of course, please go to chasingcinema.com and sign up. As always, I am one of your hosts, Jacob Toronto.
I'm Louis Corzo.
And please continue chasing cinema.